Okay, before you judge me, hear me out. This started as a simple plan and got way more interesting when I came up with a couple of big ideas. I'm a middle-aged woman with some extra time on her hands and a whole lot of junk in the trunk. I've always loved DIY projects, and now I'm itching to get my hands on some good, hard wood and give beginner woodworking a go. So if you're like me, a little creative, a lot adventurous, or just here for the view, follow along. We'll learn, we'll laugh, and we'll see what we can make together. Hi, I'm Betty, and welcome to the Well-Rounded Workshop. Well, that's enough talking. Let's get started on my very first build, the Hot Cocoa Caddy. It kind of resembles an old-fashioned toolbox, but with a much cozier purpose. I've seen a few videos of people making these, but I couldn't find a pattern. No pattern? No problem. I'm winging it today, baby. And in true Betty style, all wood is good wood. Check this out. Okay. We just came out for a little drive and we see someone dumped a bunch of garbage. And this is what we like to do, or I like to do. I pick through and see if there's something that I can do something with. And I see this bench. It appears to be real wood. Nice little design on it. I don't know what I could do with it. The wood appears to be in pretty good shape. And here's a piece of firewood. Take that. As other people's trash can be my treasure. All right, so I figured out what I'm going to do with that little wooden bench that I found at the dump site. I started to disassemble it, and I'm planning on using these two panels for the ends of my caddy. It even has a nice diamond pattern cut into it, which I think will be super cute. Some people see junk, I see potential. Before we start cutting anything or getting into it, if you want to build this too, I'm going to put all my dimensions up on my whiteboard next. Here we go. Project number 1. What are we making? A hot cocoa caddy. First up, the bottom of the caddy is 6 inches wide by 13.5 inches long. Next is the two ends that are 6 inches wide by 13 inches high. After that, I have the two sides at 4.5 inches high by 15 inches long. And lastly, the handle at 1.5 by 13.5 inches. The first thing we need to do is get these bottom pieces off. I did take a quick look inside and it looks like it takes a number 3 Robertson, so we're all ready to go. And let's see if we can get these suckers out. Oops. Helps if you reverse it. Okay, that piece came off, perfect. These things don't seem to want to pop out, so I'm just going to use my screwdriver and see if I can pry. Oh yeah, now they're coming, of course. Pry them out. Perfect. Now we got our two panels. I'm going to hang on to these and keep them for another rainy day project. Okay, great. Now that we have that all disassembled and we have our two tall sides, we're going to need pieces for the front, the back, the bottom, and the handle. So I'm going to dig into my stash from a couple of old pallets that I broke down. There should be something that will work in there. Okay, so this is what I got. Now that I have all my pieces, it's time to start measuring and cutting everything down to size. Okay, so I just cut out a quick template and I'm going to use it to trace out the sides of my caddy. I decided to go with 13 inches high by 6 inches wide. And I'm just realizing that according to this tape, damn it, I think I've been lied to all these years. This is what I'm going to do next. I already found my center and I'm going to mark a few lines and I'm going to rip down my sides to the 6-inch width. I'm going to head over the table saw to get these cut down. But let's not forget, safety first. Hair up in a clip, out of the way. Safety glasses on. My husband has a lot of tools. Some are shiny and new, and some have been around longer than I have. I've always been around them, but this is actually my first time using most of them myself. I've definitely been a little intimidated. Big tools can do that, but I'm trying to step outside my comfort zone, learn some new skills, and prove to myself that I'm capable of more than I give myself credit for. Okay, so starting to get a little dusty in here, but I still have all my fingernails, so we're doing okay. This is the bottom piece. I'm going to cut this down to 13.5 inches because I want my overall project to be 15 inches. So with my two sides and this bottom piece, it's going to give me 15 inches overall. Now, over to the miter saw. Okay, so my handle is also going to be 13.5. So I'm going to set this up while I'm out here and just get this cut at the same time. Oops. Okay, so this is the pallet board that we're going to use for the front and back of the Caddy. So I'm going to measure these out to 15 inches. So we're going to go 15. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and do this side as well at 15. Perfect. So I'm going to get them marked out. And we can head back over to the miter saw. Okay, so I got all my pieces cut out. The two ends, the bottom, the handle, and the front and back. If you follow along on the whiteboard, you'll have all the correct measurements for my project. Before I start sanding and routering my pieces, I'm going to take my pattern and I'm going to trace it out onto the end pieces and I'm going to cut them out on my scroll saw. Just going to set it on there. And it's a little taller than my pattern, but that's okay because I want the top piece to be flat after all and not rounded, so that's fine. The two end boards had some cupping, so I decided to run them through the planer to get one flat surface, which will make assembly easier. Now that these are planed, I'm going to cut out my pattern on the scroll saw. I'm just going to spray the diamond inlays with the flat black paint because it dries much quicker and it sands a lot easier. Okay, so I'm going to router down this handle with a 1/4 inch round over bit. Okay, so now that my handle is routered down, I'm going to give everything a quick sand with an 80 grit sandpaper. And I always make sure to use some kind of respirator. Today I'm using a N95 disposable respirator. Now that I have everything sanded, I'm going to go ahead and start the assembly process. So I'm going to use some wood glue and some 18 gauge brad nails. So I'll start with the sides first, or the ends. So I'm going to get it set up. I need some more glue. Okay, so we get the front and back on next. Get a nice Okay, now we're going to get our handle on. I decided I'm going to use screws for the handle instead of brad nails, just so it's a little stronger. So I'm going to do a countersink. Okay, so I'm going to attach the handle with a number 8 screw. I'm just going to put a little glue on it. The more I stare at this, the more I fall in love with the grain. It's got its own personality. So instead of covering it up, I'm just going to add my stencil and seal it with a clear coat. Okay, so time to do my stencil. But the final reveal is going to be a surprise, so I'll see you soon. And here it is. What do you think? I'm so happy with how this turned out. I think this would make the perfect winter gift. I mean, who doesn't love a warm drink on a cold winter's night? And honestly, this caddy could be used for so many things. It's really just a vessel for whatever kind of gift you want to give. You could fill it with popcorn and snacks for a movie night, gardening gloves, tools, and seeds for the gardener in your life, or a romantic night kit with a bottle of wine, a couple of glasses, and a few grown-up extras. I'll let your imagination take it from there. Well, that's a wrap on my hot cocoa caddy. A little mess, a little sawdust, and a lot of fun. Hope you're going to stick around to see what I get my hands on next. And remember, if Betty can build it, you can too.